We are starting to see the texture and the shape of Donald Trump's forthcoming administration. And it is a very ugly shape, and it is a very abrasive texture. Some of these are humiliating, although I can't say I know exactly for whom they are humiliating. And I want to start with Marco Rubio. Donald Trump previously referred to Marco Rubio as clueless, as a lightweight, and as a choker. Marco Rubio previously referred to Donald Trump as a con man and many worse things. And yet, the New York Times is now reporting Donald Trump is expected to name Republican Senator Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. I want you to consider as we go through this story, is this more humiliating for Marco Rubio or is it more humiliating for Donald Trump? And then what I'm actually building towards is telling you that this entire humiliating affair, the Trump-Rubio affair, as maybe we will call it, it may be more representative of why Republicans win rather than of why they are pathetic, although it arguably is both. So yes, it appears as though Trump will be naming Marco Rubio to Secretary of State. Now, previously, here are some of the things that Donald Trump tweeted about Marco Rubio. Quote, lightweight Marco Rubio was working hard last night. The problem is he is a choker. And once a choker, always a choker, Mr. Meltdown. In 2015, Donald Trump tweeting, Marco Rubio had no idea what he was doing on the Chris Wallace show. Said Iraq was not a mistake. He looked clueless. So choker, clueless. Trump also in 2015, Marco Rubio couldn't even respond properly to President Obama's State of the Union speech. Obama. Without pouring sweat and chugging water, he choked. And then finally, although we could do this all day, finally, Marco Rubio is a total lightweight who I wouldn't hire to run one of my smaller companies, a highly overrated politician. Trump previously said he wouldn't even hire Marco Rubio to run one of his smaller companies, and now he is hiring him to run the Department of State, maybe the most globally consequential representative of a president. Choker, lightweight, clueless, can't even run the smallest department. The smallest business. Now he's going to run Department of State. Now, it's not just Donald Trump who previously hurled barbs at Marco Rubio. It was also Marco Rubio going after Donald Trump. Here is Marco Rubio previously calling Trump a con artist, among other things.
There is no way we are going to allow a con artist to take over the conservative movement, and Donald Trump is a con artist.
Well, you allowed him to do it, Marco.
So what do you think a Trump government would look like, Senator?
It would be chaos. No one knows, but it would look probably like the positions he's held for all these years on many of these issues. He is wholly unprepared to be president of the United States.
By the way, everything Rubio is saying here is completely true.
He refuses to answer questions on any specific public policy. He has no plan for health care, for example. They asked him about the debt. He claimed he's going to cut the debt by cutting fraud and abuse, which everyone acknowledges. And he didn't get any follow-up or any press on that. And nobody pressed him on that afterwards. I tried to get the moderators to ask him about it. This is the most important government job on the planet. We're about to turn over the conservative movement to a person that has no ideas of any substance on the important issues, the nuclear codes of the United States, to an erratic individual. And the conservative movement to someone who has spent a career sticking it to working people.
That is all 110% true. And Marco Rubio kissed the ring and denounced himself essentially by doing it. Here is Marco Rubio previously mocking Trump for his terrible spelling, true, his makeup, his failed businesses, and said he might actually have urinated in his own pants during a debate. Okay.
And once a choker, always a choker. I guess that's what he meant to say. He spelled choker, C-H-O-K-E-R, choker. He called me Mr. Meltdown. Let me tell you something. Last night in the debate during one of the breaks, two of the breaks, he went backstage. He was having a meltdown. First, he had this little makeup thing applying like makeup around his mustache because he had one of those sweat mustaches. Then he asked for a full-length mirror. I don't know why, because the podium goes up to here, but he wanted a full-length mirror. Maybe to make sure his pants weren't wet. I don't know. Then...
Wow.
Then I see him pacing back and forth, and then he's huddled in the corner talking to somebody. He's like waving his arms up and down, and the person's trying to calm him down. So, anyway. But I'm a chalker. All right. Next tweet. Leet weight chalker Marco Rubio looks like a little boy on stage, not presidential material. He meant to say lightweight, but he spelled it Leight. So he got that wrong.
All right, anyway, you get the point. So listen, it's all humiliating, right? This is a guy, Marco Rubio, who relentlessly made fun of Donald Trump. Trump's hiring him. This is a guy, Donald Trump, who has previously made fun of Marco Rubio. And Marco Rubio is saying, hey, I'll gladly go and work for you because I want power. And if you're going to give me Secretary of State, I absolutely want that. We look at this from our perspective and we say, wow, two men who have and continue to completely compromise their values and their sincerely held beliefs to the extent that the things they said about each other were true, and they just throw it all out the window. How humiliating. But I want to put a different perspective forward. I actually would argue that this is why Republicans are succeeding here, which is they just forget about it all. Yes, I don't like you. You don't like me. Marco Rubio, I'm sure, still sees Donald Trump as completely incompetent. But they aren't going to let that get in the way of putting together a completely weaponized, retrograde, reactionary cabinet that will wreak havoc throughout the world, but it will embody the worldview and political philosophy and ideology that they are now putting forward. And it is one of owning everybody else above any other cost, always, and appearing to come out as the people strongly and in an alpha male way in charge of everything. And so they let bygones be bygones, and Trump hires Rubio, and they never mention the fact that they probably really dislike each other. To some degree, maybe this is a benefit of the way they do things rather than a bug. And I am very curious to see what it'll be like when Trump fires Marco Rubio. I'm sure that that'll be a good one. I have a close family friend who uses hearing aids. And once I told her about hearing aids from our sponsor, MD Hearing, she gave them a try, and she's been with them ever since. She told me she loves the affordability, the quality, the expert staff available to help her calibrate the device anytime she needs. If you're still paying thousands for hearing aids, check out MD Hearing. MD Hearing is an FDA-registered rechargeable hearing aid, costs a fraction of what typical hearing aids cost. MD Hearing's Neo model costs less than 10% what you'll pay for a marked up hearing aid at a brick and mortar clinic. And MD Hearing just launched the Neo XS, their smallest hearing aid ever. MD Hearing has sold over 1.5 million hearing aids and offer a 45-day risk-free trial with a 100% money-back guarantee. You can buy with confidence. Get the hearing you deserve. Go to shopmdhearing.com and use code PACMAN to get a pair of hearing aids for just $297. Plus, you'll get a charging case for free, an additional $100 value. The link is in the description.